So, hello everyone again. Good afternoon, and thank you for being here with us. Us is Operations Council and the European Transport Workers Federation. I'm Sergio Alegre. I am Director General of Operations Council, and it's a pleasure to co-organize this webinar with the European Transport Workers Federation. Just to give you in 2 minutes, Operations Council is the organization of cities and regions in Europe that they host an airport in the territory. And we were established in 1994. So next year it's going to be our 30th anniversary, and our headquarters, a very small headquarters, because we are a small organization, are in Brussels. And for sure, one of the issues, one of the topics since the beginning of our organization, we as organization and our members are dealing with is the mobility around the airports, because it's part of the travel. No one, except a few strange people, only fly from terminal to terminal or goes from terminal to terminal. You go from office to home, from home to office, from hotel to wherever. And mobility is part of your travel. And mobility is the vast majority of the times under the responsibility of the regions and the cities that they host the airport in the territory. So it's really a topic we are working since the beginning of our organization, and we are very glad to join this webinar, really focus in one important aspect, what is the safety in the mobility to go on back from the airport platform. And it's a pleasure for me again to share this event with the European Transport Workers Federation, and especially with Sabine Trier, that she has been working shoulder with us and her team. And now, Sabine, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Sergi, and also a warm welcome to this joint webinar on behalf of the European Transport Workers Federation. Yes, I'm Sabine Trier, and I'm Deputy General Secretary of the ETF. Maybe one word about ETF. We are the European umbrella organization organizing trade unions in the transport sector of all transport modes, and we are recognized European social partner in 7 different European sectoral social dialogue, and of course included the aviation sector. For us, this joint seminar, this joint webinar is an occasion to present to you our campaign, Get Me Home Safely. We have launched this campaign earlier this year in very specifically on 8th of March, the International Women's Day. And with this campaign, we want to raise awareness in 3 points. First of all, that transport is a business and a service that is operating around the clock. Secondly, many transport workers have to go to their work or are leaving their work during night. Their shifts start or ends at night. And that means safe commuting for those workers is something that has to be guaranteed by both by the employers, but we believe also by the authorities. And here we come together with the Airport Regions Council. It is a topic that is particularly relevant for women in the transport sector, but it is also particularly true for airports and airport regions, because in the airports, many different professions are active, and many workers have to arrive at the airport during the night or leaving during the night. We invite you to look together into good practice examples and to get inspired. That is the purpose of our joint webinar. Safe commuting might be a very small aspect of health and safety at work and of security, but it can be strategic. And I would like to mention here the fact that we have a big problem with worker shortage everywhere, and a inclusive and safe work environment for transport workers is essential, and also essential to attract women to the transport sector, who we really need. But before addressing the concrete examples we would like to present to you, we would like to give the word to Vera Tax, a member of European Parliament. She is from the Netherlands. She is from the Socialist and Democratic Group of the European Parliament. She is member of the Transport Committee, and she is member of the Women's Committee. So she knows all the different aspects. Unfortunately, Vera is not with us. All who know the Brussels bubble know that the European Parliament is still today meeting in Strasbourg for the plenary meeting. So she could not join us directly, but she sent us a video message. And I invite you to listen to her message.
Thank you for inviting me to speak to the Get Me Home Safe campaign event. I am really sorry that I'm not able to join you in person, and still I deeply believe that this issue is very important for workers in and around airports. Thousands of transport workers, especially women who work night shifts, feel increasingly worried about their safety when traveling to and from work. That you feel scared to go home after your shift should never be the case. In my work as a member of the Transport Committee in the European Parliament, I came across multiple pieces of legislation affecting this sector, and I learned more about the people working in the industry. And indeed, women are still underrepresented in the transport sector. Several reasons make the industry less attractive to women, such as the work environment and the conditions. However, of course also whether you feel safe at your work or on your way to work. Companies often believe that their employees' occupational health and safety obligations start with workers enter or leaving the company premises. Airports and airport region authorities often do not consider in their airport access and mobility concepts that night shift workers who start or end their shift in the very early morning or late evening have to commute safely. And the safety is even more important when the risk and fear of returning home late at night from a place like an airport or a distant train station. Therefore, it is important that in EU policies on transport and working conditions, the gender aspect is considered, not at the end of the legislative process as a sort of afterthought, but through the whole process. Gender mainstreaming should become the standard in all policies in the transport sector. For example, there need to be more sanitary facilities for women. How is a female engine driver supposed to work for hours without having access to a female-friendly restroom? These circumstances may sound insignificant, but they significantly impact how attractive a job is for women. So on the 3rd of October, the European Parliament adopted in Strasbourg a report on ensuring that European transportation works for women, in which we called for a safe and secure workplace for women and a safe and secure transportation infrastructure and mobility for women passengers, including of course all women who have to commute to work. I was the shadow rapporteur on this report for Socialist and Democrats group. And I'm really proud that we worked hard to include social aspects in the report and ensure that the European Commission will promote equal training opportunities for men and women to give equal career opportunities. But I'm also really proud to have included an amendment on the importance of employers and public authorities working together to ensure safe public transport for female employees when commuting to and from their work, including the responsibility for employers to provide safe transport for workers commuting at night following a late shift or where public transport is not available through gender-specific risk assessments in transport planning. This is in line with the ILO Convention 190 concerning eliminating violence and harassment in the world of work, which includes commuting to and from work. Article 3 defines the places and activities of workers where harassment and violence can occur and which fall within the employer's obligation to protect its employees. It is time to include commuting to work in the workplace risk assessment, also applying a gender-based risk assessment, including the journeys to work that you have to do. However, this could not be enough. We need to insist that companies monitor workplace violence and aggression, including during commuting and provides gender-segregated data. Unfortunately, we still know very little about how often sexual misconduct occurs, as they are rarely reported. As we discussed today, women struggle with work-related challenges and the social aspects of life on board. Last but not least, it would make much more sense to apply a gender perspective in the planning and design of the city and provide safe solutions in the absence of public transport negotiated with the trade unions. I welcome this joint initiative of the European Transport Workers Federation and the European Airport Regions Council. I also welcome the initiative because it raises awareness about a forgotten aspect of workers' health and safety. It is a very specific in putting airport regions in focus, which is a microcosm with all the activities at and around the airport, including but of high importance for the areas concerned. We must share good practice examples. It shows that a good solution lies in the cooperation of the trade unions, the airports themselves, the various employers active in the airport managers, and the authorities responsible for mobility in the airport regions. It cannot be the responsibility of the individual workers to care about their safe commuting to work. Human resource functions worldwide have been doing their very best to improve diversity, equity and inclusion for the past decade. Women are a vast talent pool left untouched by the transport industry for a long time. In this male-dominated workforce, it is difficult for women to gain entry and succeed. They often face many challenges like discrimination, harassment, prejudice and stereotypes, having to prove their competency. Now, it is time for policymakers to get on board and drive action with an impact. In other words, it requires us to act now. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a fruitful debate today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vera, for these words. And I think I hand over immediately to Annelie, who will introduce us into the specific situation of airport workers and air workers, aviation workers. Now I have the right word. Annelie, the word is yours.
Thank you very much, Sabine, and good afternoon, everyone participating online. My name is Annelie Nyberg. I'm from Norway, work as Vice President in Parat, a union organizing airports workers and aircrew workers as well. But today I'm representing the ETF, European Workers Transport Workers Federation, sector where I am responsible for women's issue. And the ETF Aviation has members all over Europe. And in this sector, you will find many different professions, and also a lot of women and young workers, and especially among cabin crew and ground handling workers. And therefore, we very much welcome this campaign, Getting Me Home Safely. I will tell you a little about what working in aviation actually means. This is a 24/7 business all year around, and you have quite unpredictable working hours, which means that you have very early departures, often starting your work in the middle of the night, and also landing late at night. Delays happen frequently, and also change in a daily roster, and you need to change your plans when it comes to your transport to work or getting home. And often you don't have any backup solutions. Because in many airports, you have a public transport system, but in late hours, those are not often frequently working. Or you may have a public transport working, but you have to walk quite a distance to find your nearest bus stop or the nearest train station. Often can also be far from the terminal building. If you're driving your own car and parking at the airport, parking lots are often far away, with long walking distances, in dark surroundings, no pavement to walk on, and to go to remote areas where you find few or none people present. And of course, this can be quite challenging if you are alone and you're women working there. And we will see some example later of describe how this can be. Also, as aircrew, you change your colleagues frequently, every day actually. And that means that you can't prepare or organize for traveling together in a systematic way. you are on your own most of the time when it comes to commuting. And we have, sadly to say, many examples of airline crew and ground handling staff have experienced harassment and also been actually attacked, pulled by the arm, even attacked when they were walking to and from the parking lots or to the transport to get home. We do have examples of airports and airlines who take this seriously, and they have contributed to take arrangement to keep their employees safe when it comes to commuting. It can be refunds for taxis, or can be special buses or other alternative transports to have a safe transport when no communication from public is there. Staff in a uniform is quite easily spotted, and you catch attention. And of course, this is an for the persons working, you can't hide away. It's very obvious that you are an airport worker or a cabin crew or a pilot or another working at the airport. And this is, of course, makes it even worse for young women. And this can't continue. This can't continue. We need to act now. We need to find ways, because there are some simple ways to take some quite easy measures to do things better. And I think we need a concrete and we need an open dialogue, both with companies and airports, but also with the local communities and authorities. There can be simple measures taken to minimize the risk for workers getting harassed or hurt during their way back and from home. And all partners have a common responsibility to work together and to make a proper risk assessment. Unions and their representatives are familiar with what kind of challenges you can find at different airports. And the solutions can be of different kinds, but to get a good result, you need to cooperate in a good way. Aviation workers need to be safe, and we have no one to lose. In the Women's Committee in ETF, we had worked to create a movie showing some of the realities for transport workers. And we will soon see a short video with an example this is the daily life of an airport worker. And I hope that we can, if we work in a good way, we can minimize the risk. We can take measures. We can do things to actually avoid very serious incidents or even someone getting killed. So let's work together. And now we will see a short video from two of our members.
Se ripenso a quella sera mi sale l'angoscia. Finivo il mio turno di lavoro a 00:30, felice e tranquilla. Mai avrei pensato di trovarmi a vivere una cosa così spiacevole. Essere seguita da 2 uomini nel tragitto buio verso il parcheggio. Ero tranquilla perché pensavo comunque di camminare in un luogo sicuro, sotto gli occhi delle telecamere, e invece il sentirmi dire «Signora, vieni qui», mi rimbomba ancora dentro, mentre io cercavo di raggiungere la mia salvezza, la macchina, che sembrava essere lontanissima. Grazie al cielo l'ho raggiunta in tempo, correndo a più non posso, mentre questi 2 individui continuavano nell'intento di chiamarmi toccandosi le parti intime. Tremante ho avuto difficoltà a guidare e a tornare serena a lavorare la sera. Infatti, per tutti i mesi a seguire sono stata sempre accompagnata. Avevo paura. Avevo perso la mia libertà e autonomia.
Mitt navn Agnieszka Kornacka. Jeg jobber som flyvertinne. Det utrygge jeg opplever som forbundet med jobben, når jeg noen ganger slutter veldig sent og skal ta den turen til parkeringshuset. Noen ganger så går man litt i mørket. Jeg synes dette her ganske skummelt. Ikke at jeg føler meg utrygg direkte her i Norge, men når jeg begynner å tenke hva som kan skje, så kan det være litt skummelt. Vi kunne hatt parkering nærmere flyplassen, da, hvor man ikke må gå i mørket alene. Lys som fungerer ordentlig. Du kunne hatt vakter som der frem til alle flymaskinene landet. Så lenge man jobber på sånne tidspunkter av dagen og forventet til å stille opp på jobb klokka 5 på morgenen og slutte klokka 2 på natta, så burde det vært egentlig åpenbart at man har trygghet, at man kan komme seg trygt til og fra jobben.
Thank you very much, Anneli, and also I hope that this film gave also a very visual impression on what we are talking about. I'm very happy that I can give the word now to Laszlo. I don't spell I don't pronounce your family name because I'm sure I do it wrong. I leave it to yourself, Laszlo. Laszlo he is the chairperson of the Unite Civil Aviation National Industrial Sector Committee, a very long name, complicated name. And Laszlo will be the one who is giving us the first good practice examples from a UK point of view. So the floor is to you, Laszlo, and I hope it worked out with sharing your presentation.
Thank you very much. I'm back now, and hopefully the screen sharing is going to work. This is the third device I'm on today. Now the camera is broken on this, so you will not be seeing me, but I'd say that you're lucky with that. I will, however, try and share my screen now, and hopefully it will work this time. So, once again, apologies for the delays. My name is Laszlo Morosi. I work for Ryanair as a cabin crew for 14 years, and I'm now chairing United Civil Air Transport National Sector Committee. And I have been tasked with being the ambassador of Unite's own Get Me Home Safely campaign. Now, what I would like to show you and talk about is a few things that led us to join into the Get Me Home Safely campaign. And I'm going to talk about a few examples and a few events that have happened in the UK in the past few years that has led us here. So the first thing that I have to mention, it's a very sad occurrence for us, is the tragedy of one of our friends and equalities reps, Cinzia Ceravolo. She was a Ryanair cabin crew who was based in Liverpool Airport, and unfortunately on the 24th of August 2022 she had a car accident right next to the airport, and unfortunately 2 days later she succumbed to her injuries and lost her life. After the accident, we started looking into the causes, and especially the root causes of this accident, what happened, and we can lead it to two different categories. One category is what the airport could be doing, and a category of what the city council should be doing to ensure that airport workers at Liverpool Airport are safe. If you have a look at this little diagram, what I would show you is that you can see the terminal building here, and you will see that right in front of the terminal building, there's an express drop-off point. However, that drop-off point costs you £5 to get picked up from there, or to be dropped off there. Now, unfortunately, one of the causes of Cinzia's accident was that she returned from an out-of-base duty shortly past 11. She missed the last bus that would have taken her home, and she needed to take a taxi. However, it was towards the end of the month before payday, and she couldn't afford that extra £5 charge. So instead, she walked out, and you can see that there's two free pickup locations at Liverpool Airport, the so-called drop-off 2, and there's a junction on a road that is right next to the airport that's called Hale Road. That junction is what she chose because you can see like it's a much shorter walk to get there. However, the junction has no surveillance, and the road itself, and we have been raising this issue with the council many times, is not safe. That whole road has a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit, which we think it's quite a lot and quite high speed limit, and it should be lower. There's no sort of surveillance on the road. The street lighting was not really good at the time of the accident. There's no speed bumps. There's nothing that would ensure that even the 40-mile-hour speed limit has been kept and has been obeyed by the drivers. So unfortunately, one of the causes of the accident was there that the airport is charging for pickup. Its staff members have to pay for that as well, or they can choose a free location that is quite remote from the terminal building. So a lot of staff members are using the unsafe junction there at Hale Road. Now, after the accident, we have we started a petition to the Mayor of Liverpool, to the then Mayor of Liverpool, requesting her to look into these issues on the road and what could be done to make that road safe for airport workers and for the general public as well. After the petition, we also had a demonstration by the airport, which received quite a lot of media coverage, and it was very successful, and it led to us having the first meeting with the Mayor of Liverpool in December 2022. On this meeting, we've seen accident statistics, and we discussed a few points that should be noted by the council, but unfortunately, even though there were some initial promises from the mayor, nothing has been materialized from it, and nothing has been done. And the original plan was that this Make Hale Road Safe campaign would lead into a national campaign specifically for aviation workers, on how to make commuting safe for aviation workers. But of course, the hospitality industry within Unite, hospitality sector, started the Get Me Home Safely campaign. So these two campaigns have been now linked together. And in February this year, the Unite Get Me Home Safely campaign was officially launched in Manchester. And at this event, I made a presentation, and I was asked to be the ambassador for aviation within the Get Me Home Safely campaign. So this is how our part of Get Me Home Safe started. And of course, Liverpool is not the only airport where there are issues around parking charges. A lot of other airports have the same issue. But what I would like to show you now is what happened in Stansted Airport and what happens in Bishop Stortford. Stansted is the biggest base for Ryanair, and most of the staff members live in Bishop Stortford. And in 2019, there were quite a lot of attacks on young women in Bishop Stortford that got quite a lot of press coverage at the time. And we really realized that we should do something about it, because our workers are finishing late at night. Not just the Ryanair workers, but also Stansted Airport workers finishing late at night. They have to take a train back to Bishop Stortford, and they are on their own from there. No one's looking after them. No one knows what's going to be happening with them. And at the same time, in June 2019, one of our colleagues, Melania, was attacked in London on a bus, which was not while she was commuting to work, but it was a homophobic attack against her and her girlfriend. And we started a campaign back then ourselves, which was called Stay Safe Walking Home, trying to give some guidance to our members on how to stay safe while walking home if there's no support from their employer or the airport itself. At the same time, we commissioned a personal alarm. So we have got quite high volumes, quite high amounts of that, and we started distributing that to our members, especially our female members. And these alarms, how they work is that if you feel that you're being threatened or if you're in danger, you have to pull a pin on it, and it makes a very, very loud noise. And statistics seem to indicate that this alarm is a quite good repellent when an attack is about to happen, and it scares away those people who might cause harm to you. So this is what's happening at Stansted Airport. Obviously, lately, there was a lot of issues on the Stansted Express trains as well. There have been a lot of delays. There were power cuts, and our staff members and Stansted Airport workers have been using the Stansted Express to commute and received quite a lot of, luckily only, verbal abuse from passengers who are obviously getting delayed. They are not going to get to their flights. They miss their flights. They miss their connections, and so on. So Stansted is quite a difficult area, and there's quite a lot of things that can happen in Stansted to our workers, which need to be addressed, and something needs to be done about it. Manchester Airport shows another kind of problem that aviation workers are facing, and this is in terms of car parking. Now, at Manchester Airport, staff members can only use the so-called Staff East car park, and if you see on the picture, these are the terminal buildings that at the airport, and the Staff East car park is down here. It's not approachable by foot. You have to take a 20-minute coach drive to get from the car park to the terminal. Now, we are in contact at the moment with the airport themselves on how to make Staff East safe, because there's no surveillance there. It's a remote location. So even if there was video surveillance, by the time if something happened there to a worker, someone were to get there, that would be a 20-minute, half an hour delay, which is obviously going to make a massive difference there. This area needs to be made safe for the workers. The other problem that we're facing is that it's expensive, the car parking there at Staff East, even though it is really remote from the airport, and you would expect that it would be cheap. It is not. And recently the airport decided to significantly increase the car parking charges, which has led staff members at the airport try and sort alternative solutions for themselves. Now, Manchester, the nearest area to Manchester Airport is called Wythenshawe, and Wythenshawe is not known to be the safest area of the UK or the safest area of Manchester. And a lot of staff members now have private arrangements with residents in Wythenshawe to park on their drives and all. They pay to them, but obviously this is not a safe solution. As what happens if there's a disagreement with the owner of that house? What happens if the staff members get attacked while they get there from the airport? And it is not acceptable in this day and age that you have to find some sort of alternative unsafe arrangements to park your car while you're at work when there's an abundance of car parking space at the airport, at the workplace. It is just simply not acceptable. Also, our issue is that what we've raised with Manchester Airport in terms of Staff East is that the 20-minute coach drive to the terminal, that's 40 minutes a day. And if we are talking about flight safety issues, obviously that is going to could cause further fatigue to staff members, especially when we are talking about cabin crew and pilots. And there's a joint responsibility of the airports and the employers in terms of fatigue management, which seems to be like no one wants to be dealing with, because as we heard in other presentations as well, it seems like employers, once you're off duty, you do whatever you want to be doing, and no one wants to take responsibility for you. No one cares whether you have to cross a safe road or an unsafe road. No one seems to care about how you're getting to your car, what happens to you in the car park, because it just seems like it's no one's responsibility. But as a matter of fact, it should be the employer's responsibility, and it should be the airport's responsibility, who is technically the landlord of the parking area. So that's another kind of issue that we experienced through the example of Manchester Airport. And there's quite a lot of other things that are happening in the UK. We are aware that in Edinburgh, staff members walking home from the airport have been experiencing homophobic attacks on them. Obviously, male and female members, staff members as well, when they are uniformed, they are going to be easily found and easily spotted. And they are easy targets for people. And at the moment, we are only aware of verbal abuse, but who knows where it's going to lead. And again, no one seems to be interested in taking responsibility for these workers going home. We are aware of it, that there's lack of transportation to staff car parks in Heathrow and Gatwick, especially when it comes to the early hours in the morning, or if you want to say in the middle of the night. We are aware that in Gatwick, for example, staff members, if they're landing too late, they have to go across woods to get to their car park, which is absolutely unsafe again. And some airports, drop-off charges are present. Liverpool and Manchester, you have to pay to be dropped off next to the terminal. Why should you pay for something that easy, that simple is that getting to work. You have to get your transportation there. Why is the airport charging you further monies to be dropped off? You are bringing in revenue. We are bringing in revenue to the airports. We shouldn't be ones that the airports are creating revenue off as well. We are aware that most of the staff car parks, and we've seen from other examples as there that you presented before, there is no surveillance at the car parks. It's just not safe. No one knows what happens to staff members, especially female staff members at car parks. And again, especially when it comes to short haul aircrew, when the duty stops, no responsibility is taken by the employer. If we circle back to Cinzia's accident, she came back from work from an out of base duty when the accident happened, and the employer would not take any sort of responsibility for it because she already was off duty. She was off duty, but she was on the way home. She wouldn't have been there if she wasn't there working. Also, what we realized recently is especially during the summer period, there's quite a lot of delays at the airport, and the exit points where aircrew and airport workers are exiting the airport are the same as passengers' exit points. They are mixed with passengers, and there's more and more frequent in the UK to see physical and verbal assault on airport workers just because of issues experienced during the flight, because of delays, because of lost luggage. And you can name all sorts of other examples. So all these act together. There's a lot of things that that should be considered when it comes to getting our aviation workers safe home. Road safety, surveillance, all sorts of physical attacks. Everything. There's a lot of things that can happen to our members, and something needs to be done about it. So at the moment, what our action plan is within Unite is that we're trying to gather as much information and evidence from our members as possible to see what sort of things that we have to deal with. We have to enforce stakeholder participation, especially at locations where councils have an ownership stake at the airports, but they should be putting pressure on the airports themselves. We're making contacts with local taxi companies as well to ensure, and especially Uber, to ensure that they are not using unsafe pickup points or unsafe drop-off points. We are going to use the Get Me Home Safely campaign to create a specific side of it, a specific program for aviation workers. And we are going to need, and we are seeking buy-in from the national authorities, national aviation authorities, because they could be of help with it. And they are the ones that could enforce participation from the employers. And we are at the moment in the process of creating an aviation charter that we are hoping that airports and operators are going to sign and are going to participate in it, but we could set minimum standards for aviation workers in terms of how to get them home safely and how to bring them to work safely as well. So thank you for your attention. Once again, apologies for the technical issues, and I'll give the floor back to you, Sabine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Laszlo. I think that was extremely interesting and giving really a lot of input to what we have discussed so far. And I think mixing Sergi's presentation and your presentation would give the perfect complete picture, I think.
Thank you. Thank you. Mobility is one of the issues, of one of the topics we have been working as an organization from the beginning, and all of our members do the importance of the topic, and that the vast majority of the times they have had the regions and the city nearby the airport, they have the responsibility of the public transport. So we have got here more than best practice, a few best practice, but especially some policy recommendations and some conclusion. The first one, I think it's important not only for the airport authorities, but for the regional authorities to understand that the transport demand of airport employees is really specific, scattered, and sometimes in areas with different transport authorities. I could explain you the case of El Prat, where the Barcelona airport is, but Maria Teresa Giral will do it later on. But there we have different authorities that they have some responsibilities about the public transport, so it's not so easy. Okay, and it's important not only the timetable that is 24/7, the vast majority of European airports. If not that, employees are they have different obligations than human resources management. So it's working hours, duration of the time management, parking policy, etc. Because a lot of companies, they have their own parkings, they have their own whatever, and it's not so easy. So I think that for our conclusion after some working, and I will show you some studies we have developed, is the best strategy, or a good strategy, start with knowing which the needs are not, because it's very important, as you know, but not so many people agree with that, or at least share it in their responsibilities. One thing is the passenger transport needs, and one thing is the workers' transport needs. Okay, and it will be very inefficient to try to solve the matter as a whole. So it's really to see and what we have, what are the deficiencies, what are the aspects that one step by step can be agreed, can be improved, can be developed, and not just a position like, oh, this is a disaster and it doesn't work, nothing, and we have to, I don't know what, if not really to go onto the issue. For sure, we think it's some learning is when we go to the resources or the solutions. Metro regional services are like to provide a suitable answer for employees living in dense areas. But we have to remember, and this is very important, 85 of the airports in Europe, they have less than 2 million passengers every year. So it means that they are not usually in very dense areas. They are not in metropolis. One thing is the airport of Barcelona, Frankfurt, Paris, but the other thing is the airport of Brindisi, the airport of Iași, the airport of Rotterdam, the airport of, okay? And the other issue, it's very important. I think we underline in these general guidelines the idea of it has to be the bike has to be included, especially now with the development of electric bikes, and not only for the days, if not for the nights. So the urban planning, the urban arrangement around the airport platform has to not only to take care that the vast majority of them, they are not taking care of the pedestrian point of view for workers. I mean, people that they just need to walk 800 meters or 2 kilometers far from the terminal, okay, if not bikes, because electric bikes can be it's a good solution for this last mile, let's call it like that, moment. And for sure, it has to be really to take care about the security. The fourth, some policy recommendations. It has really to be an interest from the airport and for the public authorities. So the first goal, I think, for trade unions and for workers is really to put the airport authorities and the regional or local public transport authorities, organizations, bodies on the issue. Okay, so the first thing is that they have to have a knowledge on the demand, and the most important is not to think what the workers need, if not to ask the workers what the workers need directly. So you can have ground access services. You can have surveys around that. You can talk with the representatives. You have to identify the different segments with the specific needs, and you have to monitor what you are going to implement, if this implementation is working or not. Because if not, as we say in Spanish, we are trying to, a lot of times, in the best of the case, trying to kill flies with canute, and it's not the point. We think it has to be really that the airport authorities and companies, together with workers, they have to be involved. They really have to be involved. Because if not, one thing is workers and the public authorities that provide public transport, but the airport has a say, and the companies at least has to be involved in the knowledge, and they have to realize too that this is an important issue for their workers. And as you know, especially, I mean, in more and more in a lot of sectors, but especially in aviation and airport sectors, as innovation is really small and it takes years and years and years to get a certification, it's human resources, the main tool, if you let me call it like that, the main issue for a company to provide the proper services. So this is connected with the workers. And for sure, there have to be a coordination between regional, national, here is missing, and local strategies. Sometimes, because usually airports are really in the mix of all the different strategies, but they are not really being seen as a whole. For sure, from our point of view, it has to be emphasized public transport. It has to be, we have to find an appropriate mix of services and infrastructure for every situation, because this cannot be tailor-made, can be tailor-made or should be tailor-made, the goals of quantity, quality, security, and safety, but it cannot be one single bullet for everyone, because it will not work, because the situations are completely different at the European level. Sorry. To ensure a high level of performance is the most important, or one of the key important aspects. It makes no sense to say or to even to provide theoretically a lot of public transport if after 2 months the performance is awful, because then you create untrust, uncertainty for the workers, and no one is going to use that. Because what you cannot do is to arrive late to your job, to your work place, because you will get somehow punished. And what you cannot be is waiting for a bus or a metro or whatever in the middle of the night for 1 hour, because, well, it's again the next problem that every day is more and more and more. Okay. For sure, we have said that ground transport have to be really from the eyes of the workers and the passengers, for the worker passenger point of view. So, but it's the worker who is going to use this public transport. And we think that human presence is essential. We realize that more and more digitalization and everything connected with IT is getting more in all sectors too, in airports and aviation transports. 3 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go to the World Festival Aviation in Lisbon. 90% of the stands were IT and digitalization and artificial intelligence. We think, for the experience, that human presence is essential. And then some good practice, just an overview. But I think for us, the most important, in order to get a really safe and enough public transport and a good transport system on the airport platform, is these policy recommendations. But okay, we added some good practice, because it's not a dream, it's a reality in a lot of places. For sure, as much as of our knowledge, there is not one airport who has all the best practice for the moment, but there is some best practice already, or good practice already going on. Okay. For example, the case of Amsterdam. Okay. In Amsterdam, they have the bus network operating since 2000, so already 23 years. And it's designed by the region and the airport authority for airport employees who can't ride for free. And it's the same in Vienna. Vienna airport authorities offers free tickets to train and buses to employees. We think it's a really good manner, a very good way to increase the public transport use, and for sure to facilitate the mobility to the workers, men and women. But the good practice is incredible. They are not only in Europe, they are too in other places in the world. For example, in Washington Transport Authority, they have created the Guaranteed Ride Home program, what I consider very, very interesting. If I will read it. If any employee rides Metrobus or Metro Rail to come to work in the morning, he or she qualifies for a free replacement service, taxi, rental car, etc. if public transport cannot allow him or her to go back home for any reason. And this can be too used by commuters who carpool bike or walk. So people that they go by bike or they go walking to the work. If there is the public transport doesn't work in the evening for any reason, they can get this taxi or rental car for free. What I think is a really very good proposal. I think we have to more and more, like in different aspects, to what we have seen is the car sharing. Because at the end of the day, just probably a lot of you know, 80% of the cars in Europe, no, in the life of any car in Europe, 80% of the time they are not in use. So they are in the parking or in the street, but stop it, not moving. So car sharing is really, we understand, is a really good practice, and it's already some cases like in Stockholm, Arlanda, or in Vienna, that the airport is supporting with money, with facility like the best parking places, with information, with a lot of aspects to improve the car sharing service for the workers. Before we say that we consider for our experience that the companies and trade unions and the airport authority has to be together, to sit and to work together from the beginning, and not one by one in different positions. So we think the very good experience is Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport, where they have joined efforts to have a better understanding with the employees' needs through services and common actions. They have really provided a very good platform of good mobility for people, for workers, like Phileo. Phileo is a system of transport on demand. Planet Airport, this is mobility service, or a low fare for workers car renting device, Papa Charlie. So you can really rent a car for a very, very low cost if you are a worker, if you need it one day for any reason. I will finish very quickly. And I mentioned before, the bike. The bike, it's the perfect, especially the electric bike, we consider is the perfect now transport tool, transport mode for really medium short distance. But there are a lot of people working in a medium short distance. But for sure, the bad thing, or the thing we have to solve, it's really their infrastructure to get the airport platform in a safe mode with a separated path for bikes, and an e-bike in 50 kilometers for e-bike can take only 10 minutes of 20-25 minutes biking to get 15 kilometers, to reach 50 kilometers distance. So we think it's really, we have to promote. And it can be another way to use e-bikes is from the terminal point of view, where a lot of public transport finish or starts, to get a electric bike to reach your final destination, your hotel where you work, or the company, or the logistic area, or whatever. And in that, we have some very good experience in Barcelona, El Prat, in London Heathrow, and again, outside of Europe, in Sydney. They have their own bike strategy as a part of the transport strategy. And last but not least, these are all the publications that we have in ASE, in our web. You have it here, our web. All the studies we have developed, not only alone with other members of ASE and not ASE members, about this issue that we are now dealing with. Thank you very much. Now, for me, it's a pleasure to give the floor to Maria Teresa Giralt. I have got 20 minutes ago a message from this lady. I know her because she was my collaborator for a lot of years in the city of El Prat, because I was the politician in charge of one of my responsibility was mobility, and she has to run to the school of one of his children because it looked like he he has got a cut in his finger and she had to run. But I have her presentation. Okay, so I will share with you and I will explain it with you as much as possible. Okay. So as you can see, it's her presentation, not my presentation. So the idea is to explain what is going on in Barcelona El Prat Airport regarding mobility. Here you have a picture of around El Prat. This is the city of El Prat, all this. And here in the top north, I don't know if you see the point, it's the big area of Barcelona, the big Barcelona. Okay, the airport has two terminals, the old one, Terminal 2, and the new one, Terminal 1. Okay, two runways and this cross runway that it's only used by night, coming the planes from the sea, so there is not any noise problem. So this is the structure of the public transport at the airport. So there are plenty of buses. I will explain you a little bit more about this. There are buses, there are metro to the two terminals, and there is train only to the old terminal because it's still the old track. But probably next year they are going to open the connection by train to the new terminal as well. Okay, so this is more or less the structure. So you see bus, metro, and train to all the airport, and there is of course a bus transit a shuttle between the two terminals. Okay, this is the railway access, and the timetable, so you can reach really the train really early in the morning and to leave really very late in the morning. One thing connected with this topic is that the workers, they have a discount for the tickets, the price of the tickets. And then you have the line 9. Okay, this is the metro going to Barcelona. Maybe you think that the line making this snake picture, it's a mistake from Maria Teresa Giral. It's not a mistake from Maria Teresa Giral. The metro line is like that. And the reason for that is that we as city wanted all the city having metro, and not just a metro going from Barcelona to directly to the terminals. If not that, if we had the airport as a suffering issue situation or a cost situation, that at least the public transport should provide to service to the whole city, and especially to this area, what is it's the platform area. So this is plenty, all this area I'm here lining. It's plenty of offices, hotels, and and this here there is, and it's Amazon, the headquarters of one big plant of Amazon in Catalonia, the biggest one in Catalonia, and one of the biggest in the south of Europe. And here, really side by side, in the middle of this area is the metro. Okay. In the future, and it's done, but it's not in service because this area is not developed. Here, it's another station that now is not in service. But when the idea is one day this area is developed by offices and hotels at the airport city, there will be another metro station operating. Okay, as you can see, the metro operates. It was in the slide before. The metro operates from 5 till 11:30, Fridays till 2, and Saturdays the whole night. And it's an automatic metro with no driver. Okay. Plus that, there are with a frequency of 1 hour, and all of them, they are in the same place. There's really a hub at the airport. Okay. So it's really somehow it's very difficult that this area where at the terminal 1 you catch the metro, or even at terminal 2 you catch the metro or the bus or the regional service, you don't have people there. They are not in one corner of the terminals. Here you have the frequencies. This is the local ones. So all this, what you see here, El Prat, San Feliu, All these are names of towns. Barcelona, of course, and El Prat, the city of the airport, are cities and towns 5, 10, 20 at the max kilometers from the airport. All of them are really planned for the workers. That's why the timetable, it's really early in the morning till very late. Sorry, they have every 15 minutes. Plus that, in the nights, you see, you have these services, 3 services of buses at the night that they run from 10, till almost 5, from 20 past 0 till 4:30, and from 0 till 5:30. These are buses that they run the whole night, going through El Prat and Barcelona to feed the airport. And to tell the truth, they are for sure they are not only for workers, but when we started the service 15 years ago, when the Terminal 1 opened, there were normal buses. Now they are extra large buses, because this is one thing that these night services are not only good for workers, if they are good for passengers, especially if you have low-cost carriers, because a lot of people that they use low-cost carriers, they prefer not to pay the last night and then to go to the terminal to spend there the night, or the last hours of the night. I mean from 4 till 6. Okay, so we had complaints for the workers that after 4 or 5 stops in Barcelona, they could not jump into the bus because there was plenty of travelers, usually young people with their backpacks. So then the service has to be, and the buses had to be enlarged. So we have now the longest buses in these night lines that they are running. 2 of them, the most important, every 15 minutes, the whole night. And to tell you the truth, they are not losing money. Here you can see a little bit the network of the buses in the night and in the day. It's only the buses, okay, not the metro and not the train. Plus that, in a, let's say, the most remote area of the airport platform, there is a transport on demand. You can ask, oh, here, this photo you can see in the left, this lady, and the bus stop, or you can ask the bus via an app. So you can be your office, you can be in wherever you are, that in a safe place, you ask that you want the bus to come to extend the route, because this is a permanent one, to extend the route to get you back, to get you at the bus stop. Okay. So here you have the explanation. The normal bus, the route finishes here, but this area, what is the airport platform, part of the platform, is service on demand. Here is how it works, but really, so you ask, the system calculates how much time, and then tells you how much you are going to get. The driver has to confirm that he has received the request, and then he touch or she touch the button telling you when the bus will be there. You have it these two in your mobile and your app, so you can really go out of your place with 1 minute if you are really near, or 2 minutes if you have to walk a little bit to the bus stop. And there are 4 of these bus stops. Another thing important, I think, that a good practice in El Prat is that in the night service, you can ask, if you are in a situation of vulnerability or risk, women and children, you can ask, if you are a man too, okay? This we started like that, but at the end is you can ask the bus to stop wherever you want. It has to be in the route, for sure, but the driver will stop not only the bus stop, it will stop in the nearest place to your home or the place wherever you go to spend the night. Okay, this during in the platform, and 2 in the city, as you can see over here on the city. And the most important probably is that since the beginning of the expansion of the airport, even if before the expansion there were some buses and especially the train, we have it has been created an airport mobility forum. It is a permanent space for discussion with all agents, all the stakeholders, trade unions, the first ones, but the airport authorities, the local authorities, all the transport providers, so the train, the metro, the buses companies, and their public bodies that they are under control, let's say, or they provide the service thanks to them. Okay, and they have to they meet every 3 months. They have to, let's say, follow to check what's going on with the mobility master plan that it was approved 10 years old. There, all the information is provided by all the stakeholders. What is the level of use of the systems, of the transport modes, what are incidents that they are coming, proposals of modification, proposal of improvement from the public authorities, and the transport providers, companies, but especially of course, from the workers, sometimes from the companies as well, but especially for the workers, in order to really to go to the detail, to go to the detail of what is going on in the bus stop, in the metro stop, in the timetable, in everything regarding the public transport. So thank you in my name and in the name of Maite Giral. I hope you have got a little bit of a picture. For sure, she would have done it much better. She is the head of the public transport or the transport department, but I know more or less the background, and a pleasure to share it with you. Thank you, Sabine.
Thank you very much, Sagi, and great that you could step in for Maria Teresa so that we really have all the information. I think we have some 10 minutes left for comments, questions, answers. And I think on the chat I didn't see anything. No. But if you have a question, if you would like to make a comment, just raise your hand. Yeah, I see Elke. Please, when possible, switch on your camera and you have the word. You are muted. We don't hear you.
Have the feeling she's going to write the question.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, a little, very low, but
I will sit a little bit closer and speak up.
perfect.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for these interesting presentations. I was just wondering, Sabine, and then maybe also Annelie, how can organizations such as airlines and airports join this campaign?
Maybe I give a direct answer. The idea of this campaign is really to create awareness. That means at European level, we created some material, we created some events like this one to make aware about this. But our idea is to go back to the ground, let's say, and to have very practical and concrete activities. In this case, in an airport region. So I do not know where you come from, whether from a specific airport. So our idea would be that at the regional level, at the local level, the trade unions and the authorities and the respective employers would come together and discuss exactly those questions.
Thank you. For your information, I'm from Brussels Airport.
Okay, so we have the closest way to go, let's say.
I think so. Thank you.
Thanks for your question. I think Daniela was first and then Annelie. Or Annelie, do you want to answer directly on this question?
Yes, I have more or less the same answer as you, Sabine. It's first of all, it's about making attention to this problem and this issue. And I think I encourage everyone to take contact with your airline, with your company, with the airport representatives, to have a risk assessment. What's happening where you're working? What is issues? How can it be solved? And I think even though you have a good plan, as for example the Barcelona is, I think it still can be things that can be done better. But I encourage you all to take contact with your companies or the airport representatives to find a solution. And then we also have another option. It's also to contact the ETF aviation, because this will be discussed and addressed in the meetings of the civil aviation sector. So you can always contact me or the ETF office secretariat if you have suggestions, plans, good practices, bad practices, and so we will continue working with this in the sector as well. Thank you.
Okay, Daniela, it's for you.
Hi, just a short comment my side. I think it's really important to work on this issue, and it's so tied up, linked to the unruly passengers campaigns that we are also launching. Two of the issues that in airports I can see is like the parking spaces are less, and parking tend to be far away, as it was shown. Also Laszlo was showing it, so far away means more distance and more risk. And then public transport is unfortunately overlooked in many places. So thank you for this, and I think we will work on it. Thanks.
Okay, we still have a bit of time. Other comments or questions? Sagi, you want to answer as well?
No, not at all. No, there will be, but thank you to Elke for this suggestion or question and suggestion, because I think we will try from ASC that all of our members and ASC as such join the campaign. Okay, you can come with that, and one, so for sure. Oh, Elke, you want to, please?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering to pick up on what you said, Sabine and Annelie. You talk about a risk assessment. Is there something like a standardized risk assessment that you already promote or use? Like some sort of auditing tool that we can introduce or not?
I am not directly aware about it, but I'm sure that something exists. We can make, when you are interested, we can make a little bit of research. We have our European Trade Union Institute that has a whole department on health and safety at work, and I'm sure that they have suggestions, guidelines, or something available. We as ETF, we have created a guidance for health and safety at work, but this guidance is not specific to the question of commuting. It is really on all aspects of health and safety at work. But we will ask for guidelines for the specific way how to do the respective impact assessment.
Yes, because I know that there are a lot of European projects that have been going on in the last couple of years on gender issues in mobility and transport, but then specifically for urban areas. So I thought maybe from that angle, there could be something like a standardized checklist or audit tool or whatever. But thank you.
Anybody else, please? I think.
Well, from my side, Sabine, well, I would like really to thank all of you in the name of ASC, just to tell you that we will send you the slides of all that we have presented today here. That the session has been recorded, and we will probably put it in YouTube and to try to disseminate, but we will disseminate it for sure. And yeah, and of course, thank you very much for your attention. And for sure, you can get in contact with Sabine, with the European Transport Workers Federation, or with Operations Council for any clarification or any aspect you may require from us that you think we can help you. We will do our best to try to help you or to support you in this issue. Thank you.
Okay. I say thank you as well, first of all, to you, Sergi, and your team for this cooperation. I think that was very interesting, and we picked up a very important point. That was the feedback I got. And we are certainly distributing the link and also the presentations, and we will do all our best to spread this information as much as possible. And I think after this successful cooperation right now, we should indeed come together and to look how we could bring that forward and maybe have some continuation on this. I have the impression that there is a need for this topic. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to all.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we can stop. We are perfect in timing. Thanks a lot to all the speakers.
We don't look like people working in the aviation sector all time. Thank you very much.